All right. As my dog snorts and he's so happy with his dinner. Hi. I'm going to just paint a little, I have to paint a flower. Some days I was having such a rough kind of a weird morning and couldn't get anything going. So I think I'm going to paint a little flower. Now I've already activated some of my paints, and I have my favorite little palette, which is just a little ceramic thing here, and you'll see I've got little dots of paint, so I don't have the heart to just completely wash it yet. It's got my pyrroline green in there, and so I just kind of sprayed with I've got a new little spray bottle. I was using a different one for a long time, but I finally emptied this out, so I thought I'll rinse it out and use it. So I just sprayed in here and just wiped that out with a paper towel. So I've got that ready to mix if I need to mix any colors. And I'm just gonna go because I need to. So let's see here. I'm gonna be taking some purples and blues and just kind of getting some kind of those are the colors I'm feeling. And as I said, I'm going to use this little palette, so I'm just going to kind of lightly mix some kind of a bluish. We'll use maybe like a ultramarine blue or a phthalo blue. Let's see here, with some purple. You can see I'm just going to mix that in here. Oh yeah, that's the color I want right there. And then we'll go with several different colors right in that same range. So I'm going to add some more water because I'm going to paint some leaves, or petals rather, that are going to be in the background. This is the last page I have in this particular block of my Academy watercolor paper. It's 100% cotton, acid free. This is a 7 by 4.9. Not exactly a 5 by 7, but 7 by 4.9. So, and this is a really nice surface. It's just a really good paper. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. I'm just going to kind of put in some real light kind of flowery, very light petals in the background. Something to remember when you're working with watercolor is most often the color is not going to be the same necessarily as what you're putting on the paper. So you could be putting down and it might look like it's dark enough or light enough, but you just get used to knowing how much color you're going to need for what you're wanting to actually paint. So that's kind of what I'm going by here. So it looks like I'm putting on this really, really light. And that's kind of what I want right so far. So I'm just putting some colors in the back, and then I'm going to layer some more in the front. I'm going to grab some hooker green. I always thought that was a funny name for it. I don't know why it has that name, but that's what it is. I am in such a weird mood today, I'm just going to tell you. And I don't know what's driving it, but there it is. So I think actually I'm going to take this green and I'm going to add some, I don't want it to be quite as green, maybe more olivey. Olivey, is that a word? That's how I'm describing this new green. It's olivey, but it's not really olive. So I'm going to add some hooker green in there with that. There we go. Just kind of changed it up a little bit. And it again is pretty darn dark. So I'm going to go ahead and start just kind of loosely putting in some stems here. I am going to have a little bud in this area, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay in something to wrap it in. I don't really know if, this is based on something that I had received from my mother a long time ago. She passed away a couple years ago, but she loved to paint as well. And she would send me cards that had really pretty flowers and things on it. And this is from one of those that she had sent me a long time ago. I remember thinking that it was just such a beautiful little airy representation of a flower, that just the colors and the lightness of it were just so free and easy. So I'm kind of replicating that somewhat just by using similar colors and having the different, I loved the blues and the violets that were in there. In fact, I'm going to, now that this is almost dry up here, I'm going to pull in some more blue and very, very thin. I'll thin this out quite a bit over here. And this paint is it's just coming in real thick. So I'm really, really watering that down because I want it to be very, very light. Kind of like just adding in another layer, but I want that blue to be distinguished from the purple. Get the idea there. All right, let's get, now when that dries, we'll add some more in there. With this one down here, I'm just going to drop some more color in here with these petals to give them a little bit of depth. I don't want the emphasis there. This one here, that's kind of more like a little bud. I'm going to kind of get both of those colors in there. See the purple and the blue. Just kind of get a sense of, that one's just so much smaller. Put some more of this blue down in the middle of this one. Give it some depth. And then I'm going to be using a probably some kind of a, maybe a cad orange, and just dropping in a little bit of color here. I'm not going to go in here yet. I can probably, no, because I want to put some heavier layers here, so I'm going to wait on that one as far as putting in the orange. But I really do think I like having that cad orange. It's such a complementary color. So I am going to keep that one. And then this is almost dry, so I feel pretty good about going in with a little bit of a heavier color now, and really kind of more of the it's ultramarine violet. Okay, really a lot heavier. That's almost too much, so I'm gonna add some water to my brush. Thin that out a little bit, but it will dry lighter than I'm putting it down, so I am aware of that part of it. I think I'm going to add some of this down in here as well, and all around the inside of this one. I love that about watercolor, how it just kind of flows outwards of, you know, when you've got enough water on it to just allow that to flow so nicely. And I really want to clean this brush and get some more of that blue. I really love the blue as well. So I'm going straight in for that ultramarine. And I want to keep it not too terribly thick, but I want it to be distinctive. So see, kind of the more forward petals are going to be more in this area. So I'm just kind of laying in some color to kind of give it that roundness, and we'll add just a little bit of this blue here, keep that harmony. I'm going to add some right in the middle. It's almost like a violet, but I love to create instead of recreate. There's a lot of times that I have something that I want to paint and I don't really know, and I just kind of need to kind of go with it. And this is one of those times when I just, you know, I have my little dice that my daughter gave me, which are so cute, that help you to, it's when you have painter's block or artist's block. They really are cool. I mean, it just gives you some different ideas of things, you know, when you put them out, something calm, something crazy, something, you know, on a table, something at the sea, pastel or watercolor, charcoal. It's kind of fun to just spill those out sometime and just see what you can come up with. So I love to do that. I'm going to grab some orange here. I think my brush is clean enough to do it. And I'm going to start dropping in just right here. I'll probably go in there again, but I wanted to just kind of give it that little bit of color to contrast with that blue and purple. And I'm going to do a little bit, some kind of a greenery around here. I want something just maybe even off of a stem, something light, some around here, just very lightly, kind of filling in. I don't know what kind of flower it is. We're making it up as we go. But sometimes I really do love to do that because you can come up with all kinds of things, and then it reminds you something that you've seen or something that you know, you don't even know what's in those reservoirs of your brain that, you know, you might have remembered from a long time ago, or you had an idea of what something was like and just wanted to kind of mimic the feel of it, you know, how it made you feel, and if it was something airy or if it was something just really detailed, or just whatever it was. But see, I'm just kind of, I want to just kind of get in here with some variation on these different areas where there's leaves, petals, just add some little green in there. And aside from, I think I'm going to get a smaller brush, and I'm going to work a little bit over here on this. Ooh, I get to use my pyrroline on this stem, where I'm going to kind of do a little bit. I might have to get that a little wetter. Kind of a little bit of a shading, just a little. Again, with the contrast and the, just like here, kind of dropping in some of this different green. And if I want to really make it stand out a little bit more, I can add some here as well. Could do the same with a pen. Sometimes I really do like using my ink pens to kind of give those defining marks on here, especially once it's completely dry, to give it that really loose pen and wash kind of look. But with this, I just really want to keep it really simple, just adding a little bit of, you know, the curves and the leaves, just kind of very light, gentle, sweet. I like the way that looks there, so I'm just going to kind of mimic that here with a little darker. And we'll do the same on this side. I may actually spatter on this one. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's just a matter of how you're feeling. See how this, just these tiny little dots add just some kind of a sense of character to these leaves or these stems, whatever they are that are coming out from the back. I really like the way this is looking here. The only thing I will do different is I'm going to dry this a little with my heat gun. I do love this thing because I want to add right in the center just a little black. Just let's see, I might have to, I have a lamp black. I need need to wet it just a little bit here to make that up. Get some water on my brush. And I want it kind of thick because I want to just put really dots in there. And so this is where I would take a scrap of paper, just one of the little cuts from something I was using before, and just kind of, oh yeah, that's perfect. Perfect thickness, exactly what I need. So I'm just going to kind of, and I may go over that again with a little bit of the orange, but just to kind of give that additional depth to the center of that flower. Maybe even just on one side. And there we go. I think I'm going to leave it there. That's really as basic as I needed it to be, and I'm going to show you once that's completely dry, which it just about is, but let's just be sure. I also have this little, look how pretty that would be in a little frame with a little black mat. Sometimes it's those simplest things. They don't take long. They just take a little bit of easy energy where you don't feel like you have to make something perfect. You just want to get it on paper. One of the things I was going to do is take a gel pen that I have. It's the Jelly Roll 8. And since this is dry, I want to add just a couple little highlights here, and particularly down in this area where that orange is. I may even drop some more orange on top of that, but I just want to give this a really delicate kind of, these centers. See what that did? All right, now I'm gonna, if I don't stop, I will just keep going and keep messing with it. But it's really all it needs, it's what it needs to be. This is the focal point. We worked in threes and odd numbers, which is always very pleasing to the eye. I'm just gonna, because I can't stand it, I have to. I'm just gonna add this so that there's a little bit more color right in here. It looks a little deadish here too. I think you can see that. So, but really that's as simple as it needs to be. And I'm going to call it done. But I am going to show you how I separate this from the block. If you've not worked with a block, which is similar to a pad of paper is just literally a pad of paper where you have multiple pages, such as this that I use pretty often. This is my cheaper paper. It's a pad of paper, right? With a block, I think I have another one here somewhere. Most of them are out in my studio, but I'm working in the house again today. I do my pastels out there primarily, but I just happen to have my watercolor. Some, I have tons of them. But here's another one where, see, I've got a couple pieces that are still in there, and you can see that those pages are glued all the way around in one block of paper, and that's why it says open here. It's telling you this is where you would go for it. So let me show you. This is called a block leaf, and this is good to go. So what I'll do, same thing here. This is the last piece in here, but I'm going to stick down in there. I'm going to slide over to the right and down, turn the corner, down, and there we go. If I have to be careful, I don't want to rip, and that's why the block leaf is a much better option than a knife, but there we go. That was the last one in there. But see, you don't really want to damage, and if you know, like I did here, don't do that. Because it was the last one in here, it just didn't do as well. Usually it's not as difficult to get that around there, and thankfully it was on the back. The one thing you have to avoid is when you've got multiple pages in there and you're going around with the leaf, and you don't want to use a knife or something. That's why. Because not only do you not want to damage the piece of paper that you've just painted on, but you don't want to damage the one below it. So, but the blocks are really good because if you're going to use a lot of water, for example, if I have some larger blocks out in the studio, if I'm going to do a landscape or something where there's a lot of water on the page and I'm moving the paint around and that type of thing, you will get ripples if you don't have a block or a stretched piece of, and I've never done it. I've never stretched a piece of watercolor paper. I hear people talk about it, but to me, that's just too much work. I'd rather paint my painting. If it ripples, what I will do is once it's dry, I will set it under one of my heaviest butcher blocks or a big stack of books or something and forget about it for a while. And then when I go to take it out, it's flattened out. So you can do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that as long as it's dry before you start. So when I do these, when it's just a little watercolor and I want to sign it, I will use my pigment liner. There we go. I hope you enjoyed watching this little tutorial, and I hope you will try something like this. Just kind of, let yourself go. When you stop stressing, this helped me tremendously. I was having one of those days when I needed to create something. So I encourage you to do the same. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, morning, whatever it is, and just take care.